What's up, y'all? It's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous, back again after about a month. The last episode of the podcast came out literally the last couple days of of March. So literally the entire month of April, outside of the real recap that I usually do, a little snippet to help promote the episode that came out at the beginning of April. Other than that, literally nothing has come out. I did do a test, a stream. I wanted to check the quality of everything just to make sure, once we get to that step, which should be very soon, that, we wouldn't have any issues. Still working on it, still getting things squared away. But yeah, I just wanted to, talk to y'all about why I took a little break, because I feel like it's a good conversation to have, which is, you got to take breaks. Now, I have in the past, before 1430 with Dangerous Minds, in the past, I have taken these extended breaks, long periods of when the show wasn't going. Usually it was because of something else going on in my life. The first time I remember taking a break, I almost went a full year of just consistent podcast uploads when I first started Dangerous Minds. Because I started the show in the beginning of June of 2016. And I was consistent. The evolution from it being an audio podcast with me and my brothers to just being me, then incorporating video, playing around with the format. Sometimes if I missed a week, I would upload twice or something like that. But for the most part, I would try to stay as consistent as possible. Then my brother passed away. It was funny. Shout out to my boy Taiwan, Anonymous Jones. We were actually going to do a live podcast. Now I don't remember because it's 2017, so it's been a few years. I honestly don't know how we were going to pull it off logistically. Because over the course of the show, I, didn't always have the best equipment to record my stuff. I remember the first guest I had on the show, inside the inside my home and stuff like that to record the podcast. The quality was so terrible. Shout out to my boys Innocence for doing that with me and putting up with that with me. It was still a great episode, still a great conversation. Just didn't, sound wise, didn't translate the best because I just didn't know what I was doing at the time. So had to turn the baby monitor down. My son is asleep right now. I ain't want his, when he decides to wake up in the middle of the podcast, I didn't want to catch the crying if I have to make a edit somewhere. But so in the beginning it was so I don't know logistically how we were going to pull that episode off, but of course it got canceled because the day we were going to record it and the day that it was supposed to happen, his show was the day that my brother had passed. And of course it took a very not really that long of an extended break from anything, but it's from the show itself. And then, but I think, after my brother passed, for one reason or another, I would get kind of a routine going. We would be consistent with the episodes, with the uploads. And then for one reason or another, I would take these extended breaks. But it would usually be because, okay, I'm going to focus on, putting Dream to Escape Hell out, or something about my equipment, like my computer, and I've run through two computers with podcast. You know, the computer would crap out on me, and until I could get another one, you know, we just had to put it on hold. And then, you know, or you know, sometimes I would just kind of feel like, all right, I want to kind of take a step back, kind of recalibrate some things, and then come back, maybe get a better camera, or you know, structure the show a little different. Or right before, because I came back a little bit right before the Lincoln TV deal, so we decided to kind of put it on ice, kind of figure out the logistics, and then we're gonna start fresh with that platform. You know, shout out to Bash for that opportunity once again. And I think I've shouted them out on a couple of these episodes. But you know, I would take these little breaks, but it will always be because of something. Even earlier this year, you know, I started the show back, and we were on like this consistent roll. Cause I took a long hiatus because of, you know, stuff with my family, getting ready for my son to be born, you know, moving, buying a house. So, you know, equipment got to be packed up and things like that. So I couldn't record and do the show. So I said, like, let me just put it down for a second, just really zone in on the stuff that I gotta handle, because it was a lot. There's a lot of things happening at one time, and I couldn't really focus on it the way I would want to. And I felt like it would just add a little bit more stress, you know, on top of what was already going on, trying to keep up with the schedule. So whenever I took breaks, it was always related to something, but it was never really a break. Like earlier this year, I was consistent and I kept getting sick. I had an ear infection, so, you know, can't put these headphones on, or can't sit down and edit a video for too long, or it would just become too much. Once that was done, I had issues with my back. I had, you know, caught a couple colds. It was weird. Like, I never get sick, and all of a sudden I'm getting a cold, and I get over it, and then like 3 weeks later or 2 weeks later, I got another one. And so that was strange. And then, you know, even, you know, this past April, this wasn't part of it, but, you know, it just kind of just happened that way. Like I got like allergies, and I've done that before. Like, I've recorded, you know, videos with my allergies acting up. Just wait till the clarity kick in, and then, you know, just hold it at bay that long enough, and maybe like edit between like times I gotta blow my nose or sneeze or something like that. So that wouldn't have gotten in the way, but it was always just kind of something. But yeah, like when it came to this past month, I decided I needed a break just to refresh. And honestly, I don't do it enough. Like, outside of the show, outside of, you know, making music, I really don't take breaks at my like 9-to-5 job that I use to pay for a lot of this stuff, or, you know, to keep the lights on. I don't really take a lot of breaks, and I think I got to a point where I couldn't really create, like, because, you know, sometimes when you are just consistently just moving forward, like you're constantly working, because you feel like if you stop at any point, you know, everything will fall apart. And there's been times where even when I had to take breaks, I would come back and I would realize, like, damn, the views are not what they were before I left. Like, I was, you know, a lot of that has to do with YouTube's platform and their changes on how people were discovering videos and things like that. It happens with all social media. Like, you know, people complain about how, you know, your Instagram feed is different now than it was when Instagram first started, or, you know, Twitter or Facebook. It goes from being chronological to just kind of, I don't know how the algorithm works, but it's a shift in when you see certain things and how much of it you see. And I guess I just, for some of my viewers, and there's been people saying like, wow, I didn't know that you had dropped something at this point. And like it was other things, but I would blame, excuse me, that I would blame the fact that I had taken this break and I was consistent, and all of a sudden I had to stop. So there was a fear that kind of, bubbled up inside me, and it's like that with my music, and it's like that with other things in my life. And I was just, even when I'm not recording and I'm not putting out for a long period of time, I'm still thinking about it. I'm still like running myself ragged, just whether it's in the planning stages, whether it's researching new equipment, new software. It's always something. And I got to the point where I just couldn't produce anymore. I couldn't actually sit down and think about, okay, what am I going to talk about? I have nothing to talk about. Like, my mind just can't function. Like, my mind is just completely coming up blank. And just the idea of sitting in front of this camera, the idea of it, not even, writing anything down, not even putting together a script, not even hitting record, just the thought of it made me so tired. And that's how I feel about rapping. Like, I hadn't written a song in months. A verse, like every blue moon, a lyric will come to me here and there, but that's it. That's as far as it goes. And my wife tells me all the time, like, you've been like just pushing yourself to keep producing, keep putting stuff out for almost my entire life. Ever since I started putting out music, it just feels like I always have to have another release. I always have to have another song, another verse, whether it's something official or freestyle or something like that. Like, I was afraid that if I let a whole 12 months or a whole 6 months go by, like, whatever momentum I think I got, like, it's gone now. And it's just those things you tell yourself in your head, but it's not true. Like, you are not like a slave to this stuff. And I had to take a step back to realize that, like, I'm still going to be me, regardless of I put out music as Vinnie-Dangerous or I put out, like, content under 1430. I had to really, like, sit back and think to myself, like, something that, my wife says it, but I've heard it a lot, and I've heard it from, people like my dad and other artists. Just, something that I, like, they would say, it would stick with me, but I would also try, like, to push it to the side, but it just never, escaped me, which was, if all of this stuff stopped, if you could never rap again, like, would you be happy? Like, if the idea of putting out music for whatever reason was dead, like, could you still be happy with yourself? Did you still see value in Vincent outside of Vinnie-Dangerous? And I ignored it because I really didn't know. I didn't know if I could be. I didn't know who I was without music, without this content, and especially with my little boy, it's kind of hard to, come to terms with that. Like, because if music stopped today, like, I still have to be his father. Like, I still have to be a husband to my wife. Like, I still have to be a son to my mother and my father, or a grandson to my grandmother. Like, I still have to be there for my family. I still have to be. I still have to be. And I had to kind of take a step back and say to myself, regardless if nobody watches this video could go up and, like, I don't get a single view, I don't get a single like or comment, or I put out a song and it doesn't get played, it doesn't get a single play from nobody. Like, I gotta be okay with that. Like, not in the sense of not to market myself and not, do what I need to do, to make sure that I get this stuff out to get some type of success. But it can't completely destroy me if nobody sees me. Like the past month, outside of music, I also said to myself, like, I was gonna get away from social media. Like, I did an episode, the second episode of 1430 is about me getting off Twitter because of how it was making me feel and how I was feeling like suicidal sometimes. Like, I'd let those people on that platform with their comments, and they have no allegiance to me. They don't know me. Like, even if they know me, like, know of me, or we've seen each other, like, their opinions and stuff shouldn't hold as much weight, or their comments, whatever, even if, and it's not even directed at me. It's just the negativity that I see on that platform was really eating at me. And it's not the same with other platforms, but it was getting to a point where I felt myself too dependent on those apps on my phone. Like, I would open them up at any point where I have my phone in my hand. I'm probably opening that before my text messages to hit back my mom, or emails that I might need to be reading and like taking in and stuff like that, like, or just anything else. I would spend so much time on that. I'm not spending time on my music. I'm not spending time on anything. I'm not spending time with my family. And I realized, like, all right, I gotta break this dependency. I started fasting on social media, because fasting is a big thing in April for things like Lent, and for the Christian folks. So, that conversation is going around, that word is being tossed around. So I had the idea of, like, all right, I ain't getting on these apps between the hours of 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. And, it was just a small thing. It wasn't supposed to, be nothing crazy. But I was already taking a break from the show. Let me take a break from this stuff too, because I'm not posting much. So, because I'm not promoting the show, so it's like, this is a perfect opportunity to just kind of turn these apps off a little bit. And it really had a profound effect on, like, just my mood every day. Like, I was able to think a little bit better when I was at work. I was able to kind of function a little bit. Like, the stuff that needed to be done got done because I didn't have those apps on my phone to take the time away. And, like, I'm even writing again. And then I realized, like, all right, I just need to shut the world out and really focus on what I wanted to say. And I feel like that really helped. So for the month of May, 1430 will be back. This is the first video. I got a few things coming. I want to do stuff with more guests, like my boy Just came through for the Tupac episode. So I definitely want to bring more people onto the show to have discussions. One of the dope things about when I did the deal with Lincoln TV was the being able to have those conversations with people. And even though it was interview based, it still was just really good to have that conversation, connect with somebody back and forth. And I want to do the same thing with 1430 and have those conversations with people. And instead of it just being my thoughts, I could get another person's perspective on the same thing that I want to talk about. So we definitely gonna be doing more of that. Just be getting some thoughts off. I just wanted to really, like, kind of have this conversation because I think breaks are good. It's really the first real one I've taken, because it's different when you're sick or you're putting it on ice because you gotta plan some stuff out or think some stuff out, or equipment or something dying. Like, just a really good, like, everything is good, but I'm just taking a step back. It really puts things in a better perspective, and I'm ready to get back to work. So until next time, it's your boy Vinnie-Dangerous. It's been 1430. Much love.